say hello and welcome to the Monday 5:30 in the evening. This is July 5th. This is our national holiday to recognize Independence Day, the 4th of July. So I wish everyone a happy and safe 4th of July. And so I want to begin by telling you we're doing this as Tustin Longevity Center is a integrative general practice healthcare. We are allopathically trained medical doctors. Dr. Merrick, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Kaur, and P.A. Patel, and myself, Dr. Ellithorpe. We are physicians who are providing what we call functional medicine, where we're trying to look at your problems, your issues, and discuss them with you, looking not only at our medical training of standard of care and using our consultants to help us if we need them, but also looking at all the rich history of Eastern medicine, functional medicine, biochemistry, nutritional medicine, even body mechanics and so forth like that. So what we're trying to do is create for our patients another venue for you to reach out to us and talk with us. So we have a chat. You'll have to be signed up on YouTube. If you type in your question as I go along, I will try and answer everyone's questions. This is not meant to be personal medical advice, but this is meant to be a generalized approach for the questions as to how we would functionally try and address your problems, which is not taught in medical school. We appreciate your being here. To us, we believe that doctors are meant to serve and to try and provide as much ability for our patients to independently, personal responsibility, take care of their own health. And so this is one venue that we can do this. If you like this, I do would be appreciative if you would like and subscribe, share this with your family and friends. And although we may not be able to see everyone, you could have family and friends in other areas, other states, even internationally, that might be able to get some feedback through this kind of a venue. So we do appreciate it. We are about 50 subscriptions away to the next level, where I will have more tools to be able to reach out to people and help. We also have a Wednesday morning at 9:45 in the morning question and answers where the operations director, Talon, here, and Blake, our technical director, helps us. Blake also is helping me with this here. So it's a team effort. Our front office, our nursing staff, we're all working together to try and provide another resource for our patients, because we certainly have many, many questions in the face of what we're looking at, for instance, with the pandemic. So with that, I wore my navy blue sweater and my red, white, and blue appearance for Independence Day. We're so thankful. But I do want to remind you that there also needs to be independence and freedom of medical practice. You should not be getting your medical practice advice from a centralized government. And I was listening to some lectures, as I always am doing studying, and one of the lecturers I'm going to tell you about brought up the Nuremberg trials from 1946, in which Wilhelm Goering, Goering, was the head of the Luftwaffe in Nazi Germany under Hitler. And when he was under trial for the atrocities, crimes against humanity in Germany, one of the JAG officers, the lawyers prosecuting him, asked him, how did you get the population to follow along with these death camps? And Goering actually, and this is on 8mm video, chuckles or sneers and laughs and says, all you have to do to get a population to do what you want is to, under the authority of government, point out a threat to the people, and for their protection, provide the direction you want them to go in. And this was certainly very chilling. Now, he was judged to be guilty and was supposed to be executed by hanging. And after that trial moment, he went and he killed himself. So Goering was a coward and he killed himself. So medical freedom needs to have the relationship between your healthcare provider and you. If that healthcare provider harms you or is negligent, you can bring that healthcare provider, like you can any other person you do contractual business with. You can bring them to a court of law. In the case of physicians, as we have malpractice insurance, because if that were to happen, hopefully unintentionally, you can bring them to court and get compensation for the injury you suffered. You can further damage that doctor by having the medical board and their credentials taken. You can harm them through Yelps today and social media. So you have a direct mechanism of holding your doctor accountable to you. And that is a relationship that we have with our patients. We are ethically in our oath when we take the Hippocratic Oath. At least I did back when I was given my degree to practice medicine. We took this oath that we were to be patient-directed. Our whole being was to serve the patient and do no harm. However, it's much, much harder for you to address large-scale policies that impact you, such as your restrictions on your mobility, wearing a mask or not, these kind of things, whether you should be vaccinated or not. And these issues, independent of whether they're valuable or not, are far, far more potentially damaging if those policies and decisions from a distant federal bureaucratic meeting room are harmful. They can be very difficult to stop, but they're stoppable nevertheless. So we need to keep our transactions and our judicial system full of integrity and honesty, so that if you have a problem, you can directly sue or bring to court that person or agent that harmed you, rather than have a centralized government. And so this is why we believe in personal responsibility, more individualism, and with God's help, a better world. Be educated. So you have to be educated. So we're here to talk and stay educated. I again want to remind you that this is not personal medical advice, as I look at the questions are populating, and then we'll get to them. But I think what I'll get to is one of the big things I want to make sure I point out today is, if you have time, there is a lecture that was put out by the physician's name is Dr. Richard Fleming, Fleming, Dr. Richard Fleming. He spoke last month, several days ago, before the 4th of July, at a church in Texas that sponsored him, and he was recorded, and that lecture was put on the High Wire, spelled, the High, HIGHGH.live-from-event-2021-in-Dallas-Texas /. So when I tried to look this up on Google, I couldn't find it. But so I had to go on to Bing, and then from Bing I went to Rumble. And on Rumble, I typed in thehighwire.com/videos/live dash from dash event dash 2021 dash in dash Dallas dash TX for Texas /. And it popped up. It is, now get a grip on you, it is a 4.5 hour presentation. I can't tell you how worthwhile it was watching this, and I'm watching it 2 times now. So over my holiday weekend for the 4th of July, 8 hours are dedicated to re-listening to and taking down some of the references for all the scientific material. And so let me tell you what he talks about. Dr. Richard Fleming is not only a medical doctor, he's a lawyer. He is also a PhD. And so he comes triple qualified to discuss these things. And by the way, in early 1994, he was published, and Time magazine put a big front page. You might remember the heart with flames on that picture, calling is heart disease and inflammatory process. So Dr. Richard Fleming called the Fleming method of inflammothrombotic disease, meaning heart attacks. And he has and is intimately aware of how spike protein and the ACE2 receptor and that triggering a cascade promoting thromboinflammatory events. And so he speaks to this with the background of having worked also, as I did as well, for the military in peer-reviewed review for trials for medical evaluations of either devices or medicines and so forth. And he is a published scientist as well as I am. And so I think you will see him very beautifully explaining step by step. And then furthermore, at his website, drrichardfleming.com, he has this whole notes and references where you can print out all these things. So this is no small lecture series. This is a 4.5 hours that I think all adult people need to process and look through. And he discusses a science-based presentation on the COVID pandemic, from the virus to vaccines, treatments, and the public health response. And you'll see that he is extremely critical. In fact, he has now developed a petition as a lawyer. He is going to bring legal injunctions or a lawsuit against, my understanding is against Tony Fauci and others as well. So this is no small thing. This correlates with Reinhard Fulmick, who is the lawyer in California and Germany, who is also working with world-renowned immunologists, virologists, epidemiologists, and physicians who are also bringing class action international lawsuits to bear as well. So I think this is something you have to watch. You really have to watch. So Dr. Richard Fleming, he's at drrichardfleming.com, and you can get the download of all his references, but you can see the actual recording from thehighwire.com/videos /live from event 2021 in Dallas Texas, spelled TX /. So with that, I also want to bring up, as of 3 days ago, every week, the latest CDC VAERS data, vaccine adverse event reaction statistics data show 441,931 reports of adverse events from all age groups. following COVID vaccines, including 6,985 deaths and 34,065 serious injuries between December 14th, 2020 and June 25th, 2021. Again, I have never in my life seen, if you look back at all the VAERS total deaths per year since the VAERS reporting system was enacted, you're seeing in the realm of something like, anywhere from 30 to 120 deaths a year reported from vaccinations. Now we have 4,000 in a period of 5 months, 6 months. You have to understand that this is beyond acceptable. This is beyond acceptable. This is most concerning. So that's the report from the FDA as of July 2nd. And interestingly enough, yesterday on Tucker Carlson, I was listening, and so this was captured on a news report. Drew my attention because I was watching it, and he was discussing Anthony Fauci's potential culpability for problems in that they lay out the gain of function funding from our tax dollars through the National Institute of Health and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, of which he's the head of, and NIH was Dr. Collins. And they lay out these fundings, which are in the tens of millions of dollars for many, many years, especially 2015 to 2019, where in fact they were supposed to have had a moratorium against gain of function. And what Tucker Carlson pointed out is that Dr. Nicholas Wade, who laid this data out for Tucker Carlson, he pointed out that there was a loophole put into this moratorium against gain of function research being promoted in the United States. Of course, that's why the Wuhan lab was then established with deep financial and research connections. And what they went on to say was, where this was suspended, a loophole was put into the moratorium on page 2, where in fact Dr. Collins, the head of the NIH, with Anthony Fauci, the head of the NIAID, stated that that loophole exception could be avoided and therefore continue with gain of function funding and research in national security issues. So it was Francis Collins' claim that this loophole to fund gain of function research was necessary because it was important to humanity. That's the quote that is reported on the news with Tucker Carlson from a Dr. Wade. So with that, that loophole, a major funder of the Wuhan lab refuses House request for documents as the Democrat side of the House refused to subpoena. When the majority of the House is democratically controlled, the majority of the House has the subpoena power, so to say. But there is a gentleman, a Peter Daszak, the president of the United States nonprofit EcoHealth Alliance that was funding this Wuhan lab. And the Republicans on the House Committee on Energy and Commerce sent Peter Daszak, the financier of this and well known to Dr. Fauci, a letter directing him to submit, among many other documents, all letters, emails, and other communications between EcoHealth and the Wuhan lab related to terms of agreements, bat coronaviruses, genome or genetic sequences, SARS-CoV-2, and or laboratory safety practices pursuant to key NIH research funding. And the result of that is Peter Daszak is refusing. So we can't get this information. And the Republicans on that committee can't subpoena him and force him because the Democratic majority has not agreed to use subpoena power to get that information. So I wanted you definitely to listen to Dr. Richard Fleming, PhD, MD, lawyer, author of the cardiovascular disease is an inflammatory thromboembolic disease disorder, largely from lifestyle. So I think that's why all my patients did so well. So let's go to some questions now that we've said Happy 4th of July. And now that we've said I'm wearing my red, white, and blue, but I'm a little hot, so I'm going to take this off. And the first question at the top is from, what is it? It is from Cultivate Life. Okay, I'm not sure if you answered this question already, but I was wondering about homeopathic HGH, human growth hormone. I have taken it in the past, and it was very helpful for increasing muscle and reducing body fat. Human growth hormone, or, yeah. I have not covered this. And I am not against natural hormones. If you're going to do that, you need to be under the care of a medical doctor who understands the potential side effects with HGH replacement. HGH, human growth hormone, as opposed to HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, which is also used in weight loss. So I'm hoping you're clear. There's a difference between HCG, which is used often in weight loss. But human growth hormone is what we call an anabolic hormone. It builds growth. It is a stimulator. And this is known also to promote insulin resistance, to promote diabetes as a complication. So you have to be aware that you have to be a healthy individual. You have to follow a low-carb diet. You have to allow your doctor to measure your baseline human growth hormone. You should have your insulin, triglyceride level, and HGH hormones followed if you do this. So I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm saying it needs to be done responsibly with your healthcare provider. Hopefully that helps you. Okay. Let's see. Jennifer says, for relative, what causes hip joint pain on the outside of the legs when walking? If x-ray shows no arthritis, less pain, and can walk farther in tropical Hawaii than in California. Weather help, supplements? Well, I would assume, I think I know who you are, Jennifer. I would assume your relative is in your same age group. And as we go towards menopause, as we get older, we dry out and our eyes dry out. Our vagina gets dry. In other words, we're slowing in our lubrication and our bodily repair mechanism throughout all the body. And that's why I like natural hormone replacement therapy with estradiol. Estradiol is well known to support tissue hydration, the eyes to stay moist so you don't get the age-related Sika syndrome of the dry eye from aging. But this also applies to joints drying out. And then, of course, we're in a marketing world where they're all telling us to have this fun drink and that fun drink, and they're always full of addictive high fructose corn syrup agents in them. And so we become clogged up and sticky and dried out, and we lose our hormones. And then The major joints in our body become stiff, and with repeated use on a walk, for instance, the capacity of the tiny microcapillaries to heal will be diminished. And so we teach EDTA chelation therapy to improve microcirculation, enzymes to reduce inflammation on an empty stomach, systemic enzymes. We teach a low carb diet. We teach water. We teach that, you need half your weight in ounces as pounds every single day of your life. And then we talk about natural hormone replacement therapy. Of course, we screen who we're going to give it to. I won't give it to certain patients, but patients who will follow a healthy lifestyle, I will give it to. I use it. Even though I'm getting close to 70, I still have a menstrual cycle even at my age. And I don't have any joint pain. I am almost 70 with, the motility and the joints and the flexibility. Now, I can tell that I'm aging somewhat, but I do believe I've always seen my patients improve with natural hormones, water, enzymes, a low carb diet. Now, outside of the natural systemic enzymes, you could start talking about joint collagen replacement. And I see many things on the internet and on, the YouTubes where you're seeing advertisements about supplementation with collagen. And I'm not against that, but I have to warn you that I'm sitting here almost 40 years, and in food research, published in nutritional and antioxidant and cell membrane repair. And I have to tell you, I see patients coming with deficiencies all the time, and yet they're coming with bags full of supplement products that they're buying over the counter or on the internet. What that tells me is, and I know that there's no FDA regulation and sampling of the hundreds of thousands of products throughout the nation and in your stores, the billions involved in the sales. And so there is not science or regulation in this. I'm not calling for regulation for it, because I am for individual responsibility and a educated doctor that should be able to help you understand this. And what is it about collagen that I find that so troublesome? Collagen, there are many forms of it, and it is one of the most abundant proteins in our body. It helps with our connective tissue and holding us together so we don't fall apart and rip apart. However, to take it orally and to take it as a supplement, you have to have a certain size. We call it a Dalton when we're doing atomic size measurements on them. And these products over the counter, who people spend all this money on, and they say, I didn't feel any better. The science of the design of the product is inferior and too big. They could have some cheap waste product from a slaughterhouse from the collagen. Number two, the milligram strength, as far as how much is really reported in the product being really in there, may be not true. There have been random studies that look at glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate in these other joint products that have been tested, and they find some with none in the product that you're buying, some with not even half the amount that's suggested on the label. The other thing is the size, the Dalton, the science is not there. So if you're working with a product, it should have reference material that it was put through research. There should be a white paper or scientific publications listed being the rationale for why this product was created. And you should have a physician that should be able to be informed enough to help you understand how long it would take. Now, for instance, these collagen products, I have a collagen product. Mine is called Chondroflex. Yeah, it's called collagen and Chondroflex. And I use orthomolecular because I know the integrity of the science. I've been to the company a couple of times. I've been in their assays. I look at their science. And this product has science behind it with orthopedic surgeons and x-rays and measurements of the pre and the post usage of this. And the advice that if you're going to give this to patients, you have to tell them it takes 6 months to see the gradual progression and improvement. So there are certain supplements and lifestyles and things you're doing that are going to take time. Like I often tell my patients, whatever is most popular right now is corrupt. I'm just saying, where's the science? Show me the science. Brag about the science when you're trying to market it to me to make me interested to click on it and read more about it. Brag about the science on it, and then I'll start likely believing it. All right, so hopefully that helps, Jennifer. Damien says, greetings and blessings. Amen. And you can hear you. Oh, okay. So that was just a nice statement. Thank you, Damien. I hope you're enjoying being able to be a part of this. Then we have Christina. Could you remind me of the progression of bad fat? So saturated fat is good, but what should I avoid? Unsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fats? Yes, thank you. Okay, so we saw the corruption of centralized government through the McGowan conference on heart disease and the cholesterol hypothesis for heart disease. Senator McGowan was not a doctor, and he created this big council and asked for all the scientists to get there, but they kind of poo-pooed the scientists who are talking about how ridiculous it is to blame cholesterol as the cause of heart disease. And you know, half the people who have a heart attack have normal cholesterols. So there is really no strong science supporting the cholesterol heart theory. There is a lot of politics supporting the cholesterol heart theory. And you can look at the dirty politics and the covering up, the censoring of science. Dr. Engel, Engel, she did much research on this cholesterol hypothesis and was threatened to lose her tenure and her grants for research, and just terribly abused. That's one I can remember. And so now we know that we're right, and more doctors are waking up to the truth. Again, I'm not saying statins are to be 100% avoided. There is a small population in which there appears to be some cardiovascular reasons to give it to a certain population of people who definitely have had a heart attack already and so forth. But in general, cholesterol statin use for heart disease progression is pretty much debunked. So cholesterol is a part of that saturated fat world. And when you look at the history of heart disease and the fact that we started using seed oils, cottonseed oil, flaxseed oil, all these seed oils, when whale oil became more scarce in the late 1800s, they started looking for other machinery oiling, and the seed oils became an option, cottonseed oil in particular. And what they found out, Crisco oil in 1911, they saw that it was looked solid and thick, and that they would market this for women to use in cooking and baking. And they marketed it back then, 1911, when Crisco first came online, as the more intelligent, the more scientific housewife and cooker. And so they always have a jingle with it. And you start seeing there was really no recorded cardiovascular disease until we started seeing these polyunsaturated, meaning fats from seed oils have a lot of double bonds and they can react with oxygen and become rancid. Fish oil have a lot of double bonds in the chain, and they have so many bonds they react with oxygen and they stink. That's why fish smell stinks so much. It has such a rancidity rate that fish oil with lots of double bonds stinks. So they started hydrogenating this to make it solid at room temperature, which butter is solid at room temperature. Um, uh, Beef tallow is solid at room temperature. Suet, pig fat is solid at room temperature, and so forth. So they hydrogenated it by making those double bonds less reactive by forcing hydrogen into them and doing a lot of chemical toxic manipulation of this oil to make it presentable and saturated fats. So and to sell it to the American population, and the rate of the increase of use of these seed oils and the saturated fat appearance of it with this hydrogenation, not warning the people about this, we started seeing the parallel of the heart disease increase. We started seeing heart attacks, cardiovascular atherosclerotic disease go up dramatically. And it became more of like a epidemic, you might say, around the 1950s when President Eisenhower had a heart attack and everyone, he was the president, we got all excited, and that gave great political impetus to solving heart disease. And so the politics got involved, and politics created the American Heart and Lung Association. And guess who sponsored it? The seed oil industry for sales. And the popularity would go only to doctors who would buy into this hype and become overnight stars on radio and TV at the time. And suddenly they were seen more often than other doctors who criticized it, and they had no financial means to get in front of the population and show their data. And so we were messed over by the McGowan report and paid off institutions. The American Lung and Heart Association later became the American Heart Association. So look at doctors can be bought off, scientists can be bought off, research can be bought off. So I like eating things as natural as they come. So the meat on the fat on the meat, if it's grass fed, is not foreign to me, and it's healthfully managed by me. It creates very great satiation. I'm very satisfied when I eat it. The fat on a pig or bacon or pork is natural saturated. It's very normal to my biochemistry and very well recognized, and it's not inflammatory. The saturated fat of butter is very normal to consume. Coconut oil is another primarily saturated fat. When you start getting unsaturated, whether it's one double bond called monounsaturated or two double bonds or more, that means polyunsaturated, that's when you have more double bonds and the fatty acid chains that can react with free radicals, become oxidized, and harm you. So if I'm using olive oil, a monounsaturated oil, I would use it on a salad that is not going to get hot and promote oxidation of that one double bond. So I never cook with it. I never cook with any oil at all. Avocado oil could be used in salad dressing. So the point is, I cook with saturated fats that naturally occur. I never use synthetic man-made seed oils that they call vegetable oils that are sitting in these clear jars. It's ridiculous. If you have any science at all, you understand you wouldn't have the oil just sitting there where the sun would get to it in those bottles and oxidize their double bonds. That's why extra virgin olive oil is always in a dark container. So hopefully that helps you understand it. Now there's a really good YouTube video. This is called The Oiling of America. I'll say it again, The Oiling, O-I-L-I-N-G, The Oiling of America. And this is a lecture that was done several years ago. I think it's 2011. Sally Fallon, F-A-L-L-O-N, is the speaker. Dr. Engel was supposed to deliver it. She was the woman who was berated, the PhD in biochemistry at a very reputable East Coast college. I think it was Princeton. And she couldn't do the lecture, so Sally Fallon did it for her. And this is sponsored by the Weston Price Institute. And that's a very good site to go also and look at. All right, hopefully that helps you, Christina. And Damien also said, can you talk about the benefits of collagen as we age? What's the difference between collagen 1, 2, and 3? Also, I've seen collagen powders made of bovine, chicken, or fish. What's the difference? Well, Damien, I don't know that I'm a super expert on collagen. I will look for science, and let me go and get this one here. Where is it? Chondroflux. Maybe it's on the other side here. Here it is. All right, Chondroflux. Glucosamine sulfate, potassium chloride, chondroitin sulfate, bromelain. This is not the collagen one. So I am going to have to come back to you next week on that. All I know is the source that we're using was used in a research product by orthopedic surgeons following degenerative joint disease in the knees, looking at the meniscal cartilage thinning, and the structure needs a lot of collagen to build it up. And after 6 months of using this powder, and the source, whether it came from beef or other animals, I'm not sure. And as to subfractions, I'm not sure. So Damien, give me a rain check on that, and I will get with you on next week's, or maybe this Wednesday. I'll have that data. I'll probably look it up tonight right after we're done, because when I don't know something, I like to look it up. So collagen types. Okay, and source. All right, thank you, Damien. So that's what you get when you're live. You may not know everything right off the top. Jennifer says, love your patriotic attire. What do you think about Tesla Beamer mats? Is Tesla technology worth it, or is it just a fad? No, the answer is the Beamer mats. I do use them in my own home and at the chelation suite. There is an electromagnetic frequency. We are all in motion. And actually, the capillary beds from the arterial to the venous drainage, okay, so the heart's pumping it this way. This zone right here, which is the capillary bed, there's actually really no pressure there. And so it's rather exciting if you do the electrochemical physics of biology. There is a shear force. So just the little movement of a capillary will touch the side of the, just touch the side of the little capillary, and that touch will create a, there's a piezometric electrochemical physics term, if I can remember by physics, that touch creates an electrical message, and that electrical message can help with the release of nitric oxide, which is healthy for vasodilation. And using a BEMER mat, you can get an electromagnetic frequency that is in synchrony with the flow dynamics of the endothelium of the cardiovascular tissue, which is different, like in your heart and pulmonary, the venous and the arterial side of your heart, and it's different in your large arteries versus being in the capillary beds. And there's all kinds of science on this. You can actually use this same electrochemical signaling and put it in fields where you're growing vegetables. So you can have a line of corn and carrots, and then another line of corn and carrots, and you can put one with an electromagnetic message sent through the ground by a wire, and the other not, and you can see a more robust growth. Even the nutrient density is superior in that group. So yes, Jennifer, I am very much in favor of energy medicine. Now, here's where the problem comes. I want the science, I want the research, I want the talking, I want the thinking about it. But when you go into some doctor's office and he thinks a bidigital O-ring test with you holding a bottle of, a vitamin, okay, and he does a pressure test on you, applied kinesiology. This is energy medicine, and you're holding this thing, and he pushes your arm to, oh, you don't need that vitamin. Boulder Dash. Now, there is a day coming eventually, if the Lord tarries, where we will wake up maybe in the morning, and we will walk into the bathroom, and there'll be electromagnetic venue around the bathroom door, and we'll get a reading. It'll be our acidity, our temperature, all these vital signs, all these electrochemical signatures. That day may come 100 years from now. Is it here already and only there for the elites? But I am I'm committed to seeing, and I have seen the actual improvements in the patient flow with the BEMER mat, which we have. So if you were coming for a chelation or a vitamin C, you could ask them, I want to be sitting on the BEMER mat at the same time that I'm receiving the IV. All right. Debbie, my niece muscle tone dissolved 100% after menopause. Is there any way to get muscle tone back? Bioidentical hormones have not helped at all. Thank you for all your great information. Yes, we are losing 10%. No, I don't think it's 10%. We lose 1%, of our muscle mass from age 40, 45 on every year. It accelerates when you're 65 and older. So the muscle mass is in decline. What is the signal for that? We do believe there are many, many complex signals, cytokines, talking inside the cell and to the nucleus when the body is more inflamed. And we tend to be more inflamed as we age because we don't drink enough water. We're less active. We don't do a formal form of exercise for at least 30 minutes every day. We don't have good sleep habits. We think we don't need it, and the brain dries out and gets more irritable with aging and lack of hormones. And so you don't need as much sleep because you can't sleep because it's more difficult with aging. We don't have the hormones that help in the direction, the general contractor information for building hormones. We've been eating a terrible synthetic processed diet with all these seed oils, processed oils that hydrogenate the fat, that extend the shelf life. That's again why I say try and eat as natural material as you can. Get the vegetable. Don't buy, powdered vegetables. I'm not a fan of all these powdered products and protein shakes and stuff. Eat the meat, eat the fish, eat the chicken, eat the broccoli, eat the lettuce, put the olive oil on it, use the butter, and so forth, salt and pepper. So your muscle tone has to have stress on it to stimulate growth. But you can over work out, which will be a negative. So you have to have the guidance of a good physical therapist or personal trainer who understands what your age is at, what your that your water intake is good, that you're going to bed on time, that your protein in your diet is good enough, that you're taking certain enzymes, because staying uninflamed allows you more youthful feedback to these little biochemical cytokines that talk about your state of health and longevity inside the cell. And then, it's very important to take the fats, such as the phospholipids that are in your meats, the collagen, the protein, to do that. So it's very complex. It's not a one package deal. Okay, and Sean, I understand N-acetylcysteine is a anticoagulant that prevents blood clotting from COVID-19. Now, I don't know that it's a blood clot anticoagulant. I'll talk about that more. Since NAC is a precursor to glutathione, is there any difference in taking NAC versus glutathione to prevent clotting? N-acetylcysteine has been used more as a emulsification agent. For instance, people with fibrocystic lung disease, a lot of lung congestion, N-acetylcysteine helps to help be a mucolytic and expectorant and get this junk out of you. Glutathione uses N-acetylcysteine in its 3-amino makeup and is also a part of a very powerful anti-inflammatory messaging cascade. So if you get inflammation down, you get clotting to go down. So it isn't so much that N-acetylcysteine is an anticoagulant as it is an anti-inflammatory mucolytic agent. So you can say that water's an anticoagulant for the same rationale. You could say a good night's sleep is a anticoagulant for the same rationale. So it's in the wonderful music and orchestra of life, biochemistry and all. And yes, I do take glutathione myself. I take 600 milligrams every day, and I take N-acetylcysteine about 600 milligrams a day. And I've always done that. Is that why I'm so well and feeling so good, getting close to 70? Partly, I'm sure it is. But I know that my water is just as important. I know that my 30 minutes of daily exercise is just as important. I know that eating a low-carb diet is just as important. I know that getting in healthy fats and avoiding processed, genetically modified with glyphosate, anti-pesticides in it is just as important too. So, and I look forward to the day when I die and I can go to heaven, because I like I've mentioned to you all before, I'm an evangelical Christian. I feel very much at peace about the life after death. I feel very much at peace about my faith, knowing that by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It's not of works, lest any man should boast. So I'm at so much peace. I don't need to worry about myself. I can worry about everyone else, and I can stay busy and active. And the day I die, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Hallelujah. So I think having peace and a low cortisol count, because if you're stressed all the time, frustrated, angry, that cortisol is a catabolic agent. Catabolism is to break yourself down to age. Okay, so it has been studied in psychiatric and sociology, psychology research that married people, people who attend church or their faith, live longer. And I think that's partly because we have a low cortisol, and we don't break down as fast. And high cortisol is immunosuppressive. So, how did I get into that long diatribe? Oh, it's all about N-acetylcysteine. Okay, so there we go. And then let's see, who else do we have here? How old can people safely have EDTA chelation? Oh my goodness. I think there is no one on planet Earth that should not have EDTA chelation therapy, especially at this time when we're concerned about COVID. Circulation, microcirculation, from your hair, scalp to your toenails. People who get old get thick toe fungus, their hair thins out. I've been chelating since I was 16 years old. Is it possible that my thick hair and my no fungal toes is because of this? Partly, I'm sure it is. And so, no, it's quite safe for everyone. Now, if they have severe kidney disease, is your likelihood of having a comorbidity the older you get? Of course it is. And so anyone we do give EDTA chelation to, we do make sure that their creatinine is in a reasonable range. Now, a byword to that is people with chronic kidney disease and poorer function are absolutely helped with EDTA chelation in the hands of a doctor that knows how to use it. We just reduce the dose, which improves the microcirculation to your kidneys and improves your body elimination of waste. So that EDTA chelation is very valuable the older you get. And so if you go on tlcdoctors.com and go to the blog and read my article on that, I refer to the papers about nephrologists who use EDTA chelation to improve kidney function. Sean says, what are your thoughts on hormone replacement therapy using compounded hormones? The book Estrogen Matters appears to discourage this due to reliability of compounding hormones. Well, I have not read the whole book of Estrogen Matters. There is on our YouTube, on Tussin Longevity Center YouTube, you'll scroll down and you'll see Dr. Merrick and Dr. Mitchell, two gynecologists, board certified, and they're talking about the book Estrogen Matters and how it is not right to say estrogen is the cause of breast cancer, and that the value of that wonderful hormone has great benefit to the human body. And in the hands of a doctor that understands these things and the many issues, should be able, if they do follow-up measuring. Now, just like the vitamins on the shelf, without being monitored, without being checked for the actual dosing in them, the same sinful nature in us to try and make money without harming someone or without being caught. We're all fallen short of God's glory. We've all sinned. So unfortunately, some of us are in a situation where we need money so bad, we'll promote a product or like hormone replacement or compounding pharmacy, and they'll start doing a shabby job using products as their ingredients for these compounded hormones that are shoddy work. And so that's why I make mine here under my specifications, and I'm there every day, and I know who's doing it, and I know where we're getting it from, and I'm measuring the levels of the hormones on my patients every year, once or twice a year. I have the phone if we have problems to discuss that with them. So I'm doing everything to check the quality, the reliability of these compounding hormones. So unfortunately, in an open, free society, you have to be, remember the old term, buyer beware. You, the patient, has to not hesitate to ask that doctor questions, ask that pharmacist questions. Where do you get your product from? How do you get your hormones? What do you mix them in? And so on and so forth. So I just want my patients to be the most educated. And with that education, you become confident. And that part of your personal responsibility is shown up in good performance. And so that's the best we can do is be available as doctors, have programs like this, explain our thought process, have follow up, and move through these things together. Because if we think there's some altruistic, sinless government leadership program, you're foolish. It's going to tell you, that we want you to take a shower here, and that shower will turn into a xylon gas death shower. So, all right. EH says, amen, doctor. Okay. Damien says, I love how you bring God and our Lord into these live sessions. Keep preaching, Dr. Ellithorpe. I love it. Well, I love God, and He's everything to me, and I love people. Whether they have the same faith that I have, the same explanation, whether a Democrat or a Republican or independent or libertarian, no matter what their race, my God created life. And He valued everyone so much that He died for whosoever will. Whosoever. He didn't put a race or a sex or an age group or a political label on them. I have to, as a real believer in the Christian, my King James Bible, I have to, therefore, if I believe that my God is real, I have to see how valuable every soul is and how important it is what I tell them to do, because that's God's effort. That God loves you so much. All right. Thank you, Damien. That's how I feel. So, if you don't like being with a doctor who loves God that much, then maybe find another one, All right. So if someone, EH says, if someone wants to eat bread, which type is the least worse, whole grain, sprouted, or sourdough? Sourdough is the least problematic. And if you can get the European grains that don't have genetic modification or glyphication, sourdough would be the one. And Genesis 2:7. Amen, Dr. Rita says. Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, it looks like pretty much we're at the 1 hour. Again, if I get this monetized, if this channel is prosperous and we get a lot of people joining and talking, then I am telling you now, I'm going to take that income and I'm putting 80% into the IV suite for subsidizing people to get EDTA chelation and the vitamin C therapies because that's so foundational. So I appreciate your help. I'm very transparent and open, so I will let you know if we ever get monetized and how the income is doing. And I will find a way. I'll ask our lawyer to help us create some kind of a who can get subsidies, or maybe we can do it for everyone. And then I want to do research and science on it because I love doing this. So I want to say Happy New Year, Happy 4th of July, and just take good care of yourself. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. God bless and have a good night. Take care.